Hey guys, so today we're going to knock out one of the more tedious but nonetheless important parts of working in freelance production, which is going to be tracking all of your jobs and income for the year so you don't find yourself scrambling at tax time and worry about the IRS coming to break down your door. What I've got here is a very simple yet effective system that I've developed over the years that's allowed me to keep track of all the jobs and the various companies that have paid me over the course of a year so that at tax time I know exactly what I need to get, who I need to get it from, and everything that's going to end up in front of my tax preparer. Let's get into it. So quick note and shameless self-promotion, this video is a tie-in to a chapter in my book, The Back Office Bandit, which you can get in the link above. That chapter covers a lot of the financial foundational stuff in freelance work, things like the difference between 1099s and W-2 work, how payroll companies fit into the picture, and what a lot of these tax forms, words like W-2, W-4, W-9, 1099, K-1, and this video is meant to go a little bit deeper into the actual system in practice. Now, the first thing that I will say is that this system does reward diligence. If you take 15 minutes at the end of each month to make sure every job you got paid for is logged and tracked, it'll save you a huge scramble come tax time. Not everybody out there is like me. Some folks will fly by the seat of their pants and file their taxes in a flurry the week before they're due in mid-April, and they're just fine with that. I am not one of those people. And if you're here, you're probably not one of them either. So getting into the nitty-gritty of this, there are two things that work together to make this happen. One is a folder structure that looks like this, and then there's a payment log spreadsheet that mirrors that folder. We're going to start with the folder. Now, the folder is your archive. Every pay stub, every time card, every check that you get in a given month is organized within this folder like so. The spreadsheet, again, is going to be your searchable record of all of that information so that you don't have to dig through all of the files in the folder. So when a W-2 shows up in January for a given payroll company, you can go in here, filter by that payroll company, and verify that the amount that they paid you on the W-2 matches what you've logged over the year. So going into the folder structure first, it's very simple. So the root level is going to have your master spreadsheet and one folder per year. Now, one thing to note, this Excel payment log spreadsheet is basically the same as what I'm going to give you guys in here. This is a Google Sheet just so it's easy to share with you guys, but you can use it in Google Sheets. You can use it in Excel, whatever works better for you. So inside each year, you're going to have monthly subfolders numbered so they sort chronologically, January through December. And then there's a tax documents folder that I underscore prefix so it always goes to the top. And this is where you're going to have your W-2s, your 1099s, all of the tax documents that you receive at the end of the year, you will consolidate in here. That way, it's all in one nice place. Now, inside each month, you're going to have whatever payments or documentation came in that month. So in this case, I have 2 time cards from CAPS indicated by TC, and then I have the 2 corresponding checks for those time cards from CAPS. Now, these time card files are just mock-ups. There's actually nothing in them. It's just used for visual representation. And time cards between companies look different, but whenever you get a time card on a job, just take a picture or a scan of it beforehand, and then you can put it in this folder. And right here is the check pay stub mock-up. This is not an exact one, but this basically includes all the information that you would typically find on a pay stub that you would get from a payroll company. So the important thing here is going to be the naming convention for these files. And this was the part that took me a little while to find out. Early on, when I was just saving pay stubs with maybe like a job name and maybe the date, it works fine until you're at the end of the year trying to reconcile a W-2 and you can't immediately tell which checks came from which payroll company just by looking at the file names. So the format that I've landed on here follows this naming convention. CHK for check, which indicates the file type that it is. Then I will list the payroll company, in this case, CAPS. Then I will list the production company that it's tied to, which in this case would be Apex. Then I will list the job name that it was tied to, because I may have multiple jobs through Apex over the course of a year. And in this case, it was 2501 Summer Drop. And then at the very end, the number of checks that I got from that job. So say I worked 2 weeks on that job, I would have 2 paychecks. So again, the breakdown is the document type, the payroll company, the production company, the job name, and the number of pay stubs. So the reason the payroll company goes first is because that is going to be your W-2 anchor come tax time. You get your W-2 from the payroll company CAPS, not the production company Apex. So when you're reconciling your W-2 in January and just verifying the amounts are correct, scanning by the payroll company name and having it as the lead file name is what's going to make that simplest. And again, the time cards are just going to correspond to the given week. So here's the first week. It goes for check 1. Here's the second week. It goes for check 2. So now we're going to move over into the spreadsheet itself. So as I said, every payment gets a row: month, check date, file name, payroll company, production company, job, pay period, gross pay, net pay, and type. So your file name column right here is what's going to be the bridge between the spreadsheet and the folder. So whatever your file name is in here, it needs to match what it is in here. That way, if something comes up and I need the actual pay stub, I don't have to go hunting for it. I look at the file name column and I know exactly what to find and open. So what I have in here is January and February are already logged, and then I have 2 paychecks logged for March. But if we go back here, we will find that there is a 3rd paycheck in March. So we can actually log this right now. So let's open this file. We'll put it over here just so we can view it. We'll go back to our spreadsheet. All right, so we're going to start working our way through this. So we know the month for this is going to be March. The check date for this was March 28th, 2025. So we'll put 03/28/25. The file name for this is going to match all of the others. And the only thing we need to change for this is the fact that this is check 3 of 3. We know that it is media services payroll for the payroll company. We know that the production company for this is Summit Picture Group. So we will put Summit Pictures. The job name for this, we know, same as before, 2503 Trail Run. You can see the job code is listed right up here. The pay period. Now, the pay period is basically used for unemployment purposes when tracking when you were employed. And pay periods run from Sunday to Saturday. So it's going to pick up right where the prior pay period left off, which in this case would be 03/16 to 03/20. So let's copy this down here and we will put 03/16 and 03/20. Then we're going to get into the gross pay, which in this case is going to be gross pay right here. You have 2 listed on here. You have the current payment, which is this paycheck, and then YTD, which is year to date, which is how much you have been paid by this company so far that year. So in this case, our gross pay for this week was $2,775. And then the net pay is what we get after all of our taxes were taken out. So we go to our deductions, and then our net pay is $2,035.46. $2,035.46. And then this was paid to us on a time card, which means it is a W-2. So we will go select our W-2. So now we have logged that entire paycheck. We can close this out. And now March is fully reconciled and in our log. We are good to move on to April when the next job comes in. So one of the things that this system does that I didn't fully appreciate until I've been using it for a while is that it actually helps to make sure that you've actually been paid for everything. So say, for example, I know that in April, I have a Honda car job coming up. I know that I'm going to get paid $3,000 for it. And I know it's going to be on payroll, and the company uses media services as well. So I'll just log this in here to start. And then at the end of the month, when I do my quick review, if there's a row in here with no corresponding pay stub in the folder, then I know that I either need to follow up with the company to make sure I got paid, or I need to go and download that pay stub from the payroll company's portal. Again, sometimes payroll gets delayed. Sometimes a time card falls through the cracks. Either way, this spreadsheet gives you the means to be able to do your due diligence and make sure that you are getting paid for everything and everything is getting logged. And again, the entire point of this system is creating something that you can be diligent with and not having to scramble come tax time. So a few minutes per month logging payments as they come in will give you a lot of peace of mind when tax time rolls around. Because if you wait until January to try and reconcile everything from the prior year, you will very likely spend far more time in that one sitting than you would have if you just kept up with it on a month-to-month or even a bi-monthly basis. So this whole template right here is going to be a free download in the description below. Just make a copy, clear out the demo data, and it's ready to go. And the book is linked there too if you would like to see some of the foundational context behind all of this. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.